start with that breaking news from the Middle East because hundreds of Hezbollah fighters have been injured by their communication devices exploding.
Last month, in a stunning turn of events, just 24 hours after pages used by hundreds of Hezbollah members mysteriously exploded,
Mossad, Israel's secretive spy agency, used an elaborate scheme to infiltrate the militant group's communications network using pagers implanted with explosives.
Another wave of electronic devices detonated across Lebanon. These sophisticated attacks, believed to be orchestrated by Israel, sent shockwaves through the region, both figuratively and literally. The explosions, which claimed numerous lives, have ignited fears of a larger conflict spiraling out of control. With civilian casualties mounting, one pressing question lingers. How were these everyday devices turned into lethal weapons? Stick around as we dive into the science behind these devastating explosions and uncover the dark technology at play. It's hard to believe that in a world dominated by smartphones and tablets, the humble pager still reigns as the most reliable communication tool, especially in critical environments like hospitals. While sleek devices like iPhones grab all the attention, pagers, with over 50 years of service, remain a lifeline in places where life and death hang in the balance. But how does this seemingly old-school gadget still hold its ground? It may look simple, but its functionality is far from it. At its core, it's a telecommunication device that receives radio signals from a paging network. Picture this: transmitters within these networks broadcast signals over a specific frequency. Pagers in range of these signals are constantly listening for their unique address. The moment your pager detects that signal, it alerts you, either through sound or vibration, letting you know that a message has come through. So, what exactly is a paging network? There are two main types: on-site systems and wide-area networks. On-site systems, much like those restaurant buzzers that tell you your table is ready, use transmitters for local notifications. In contrast, wide-area networks rely on high-powered transmitters across the country, offering broad, nationwide coverage. What makes pagers stand out over cellular networks is their superior range and reliability. Paging transmitters use high-frequency radio signals and antennas placed in elevated locations, allowing them to penetrate thick walls and reach areas where cell signals can't. This is crucial in areas where cellular service often fails due to heavy infrastructure. But paging today isn't like it used to be. Modern paging networks are powered by satellite connections, which offer greater security and reliability, bypassing old vulnerabilities. What once relied on wired phone lines and RF transmitters is now entirely digital, utilizing modern IP protocols to keep communications flowing smoothly, no matter the circumstance. So, just how did Hezbollah's pagers end up exploding? After all, we're talking about modern digital devices, but something went terribly wrong. While no one knows the full story just yet, experts have some chilling theories. Some suggest that hackers managed to infiltrate the radio system these pagers rely on, using a doctored code to trigger the batteries to overheat. This caused a process called thermal runaway, where the battery gets so hot it eventually explodes. But that's not the only theory on the table. According to Hamish de Breton-Gordon, a former British Army officer and chemical weapons expert, there's a possibility that these devices were tampered with along the supply chain. If someone planted explosives in the pagers, they could have been wired to detonate remotely, turning an ordinary device into a deadly weapon. But here's where it gets even more disturbing. Military and political analyst Elijah Magnier revealed details from Hezbollah's own investigation into pagers that didn't explode. Hezbollah's findings point to something far more sinister. They believe that 1 to 3 grams of PETN, a highly powerful explosive, was planted inside the pages. And who would be capable of such a thing? Hezbollah suspects Israel. But the question remains, how did these explosives get into the pages? Lebanon has been under a range of sanctions from the US, the European Union, and their allies, making it difficult for companies to directly trade with Hezbollah. The pages Hezbollah procured had been stuck at a port for 3 months, waiting for clearance. During that time, it's believed that Israel planted the explosives. What's even more terrifying is that these explosives weren't just haphazardly placed. Hezbollah's investigation found metal balls surrounding the batteries, designed to propel fragments outward during the explosion, making the blasts far deadlier. This level of planning and precision suggests these weren't random acts, but where exactly were these pages made, and who was behind their manufacturing? The trail leads us to 2 potential sources, Taiwan and Hungary. Initially, the remains of the exploded pages pointed to Taiwan. The devices appeared to bear the trademark of Gold Apollo, a well-known pager manufacturer from the region. Specifically, the pages matched Gold Apollo's AR-924 model. However, after the explosions, Gold Apollo made a bold statement, distancing itself from the controversy.
And the Taiwanese company whose name was printed on those exploding Hezbollah pages says a different firm was responsible for making the devices.
They denied any direct involvement, claiming that while their logo appeared on the pages, they had no hand in producing the devices Hezbollah was using. According to them, the pages were actually manufactured by a Hungarian company called BAC under a licensing agreement. In Gold Apollo's own words, the design and manufacturing of the products are entirely handled by BAC. We only provide brand trademark authorization and have no involvement in the design or production of this product. While Gold Apollo has made their stance clear, BAC has remained silent on the matter, leaving many questions unanswered. But why would Hezbollah even be using pages in the first place? It turns out that Hezbollah's leader, Hassan Nasrallah, ordered members to stop using cell phones earlier in the year. The reasoning was simple. Cell phones are far too easy to intercept and track by Israeli intelligence. Instead, pages became the preferred method of communication, with the group acquiring them sometime around February. So now, what do we know about BAC? The company is based in Hungary's capital, Budapest. Strangely, their listed address is nothing more than a residential building with a simple A4 paper sign indicating the company's presence. According to reports, there's no physical office at that location, raising suspicions about BAC's legitimacy. The company's CEO, Cristiana Barsoni Archidiacono, is an Italian-Hungarian entrepreneur with an impressive resume, boasting a PhD in particle physics and a career that spans humanitarian work across Africa and Europe. However, she firmly denies having any connection to the deadly pages that killed 30 and injured over 2,000 people in Lebanon. In an interview with NBC News, she firmly stated that her company had no role in making the deadly devices. But since then, she's vanished from the public eye. Neighbors claim they haven't seen her, and she stopped responding to emails, calls, or even visits. When reporters knocked on her downtown Budapest apartment door, there was no answer, and the once open vestibule now stood firmly shut. The mystery deepened when the Hungarian government confirmed that its intelligence services had conducted several interviews with Barsoni Archidiacono. Despite that, there's been little clarity on her whereabouts. When pressed again for a response, her silence continued. What's even more intriguing is Hungary's official stance. BAC Consulting, they say, was merely a trading intermediary company. According to the government, the pages never even set foot in Hungary, and BAC had no manufacturing facilities in the country. But that's not the end of the story. The New York Times dropped a bombshell reporting that BAC Consulting wasn't just a random intermediary. Instead, it was allegedly part of a sophisticated front set up by Israeli intelligence. The report goes on to claim that Israel not only tampered with the pages, but actually manufactured them as part of an elaborate plan to infiltrate Hezbollah. What do you think? Could this really be an intelligence operation disguised as a pager scandal? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story gripped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more updates. Thanks for tuning in.